Have you ever noticed how fast life changes? One day you're celebrating a victory, and the very next day that joy seems to fade away. A brand new phone gets scratched, a flower in full bloom withers overnight, the child you once carried in your arms grows up before your eyes. And yet, even though we know nothing lasts forever, our hearts still cling to loved ones, to possessions, even to the image we hold of ourselves, as if these things could remain unchanged. And here lies the paradox. If everything is destined to change, then what exactly are we holding on to? This question lies at the very heart of Eastern wisdom. The sages call it impermanence, the truth that everything we see, touch and feel is in constant motion. Our bodies, our emotions, our belongings, even our very thoughts are all passing moment by moment. Think about it. The face you see in the mirror today is not the same face you saw 10 years ago. The feelings you experienced yesterday have already dissolved. Even the cells in your body are constantly dying and regenerating. Trying to hold on to them is like trying to trap water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips away. And yet the human heart resists this truth. We keep chasing permanence in a world that offers none. We build castles in the sand and weep when the tide washes them away. A wise teacher once said, "All things that arise will also fade." When you see this clearly, you turn away from suffering. So the real issue is not whether life is impermanent, that much is certain, but why we cling so tightly even when we know we cannot keep anything forever. Let's look deeper. Why do we cling? Because our minds crave stability. We yearn for something unchanging, to anchor ourselves to a person, a feeling, an achievement. But life doesn't obey those rules. It's like holding a handful of sand. Grip it too tightly and it pours through your fingers. Hold it gently and it rests in your palm. That's how attachment works. The more desperately we try to possess, the more we suffer when change inevitably comes. Ancient wisdom calls this craving the thirst for pleasure, for identity, for existence itself. And this craving makes us believe, this is mine, this is me, this is who I am. But impermanence always proves otherwise. The rose we proudly call our own will wilt tomorrow. The praise we receive today may turn into criticism tomorrow. Even our own thoughts betray us. How many times have you been absolutely sure about something, only to change your mind later? Here's a small experiment. Think of one thing in your life you wished would never change: a relationship, a job, a precious stage of life. Now ask yourself, did it really stay the same, or did time eventually reshape it? That uncomfortable truth is where suffering begins. We keep clinging to what can never be held. We cling to things as if they could last forever. But the quiet law of impermanence whispers the opposite. A sage once painted a vivid image. Holding on to the world is like gripping a burning coal. The pain doesn't come from the coal itself. It comes from our refusal to release it. Even the life of the great awakened one is proof of this truth. Born as Prince Siddhartha, he was sheltered in luxury, hidden away from every form of suffering. But the day he left the palace walls, he came face to face with 4 unforgettable sights: an elderly man, a sick man, a lifeless body, and a wandering monk. Each one struck him like lightning, undeniable signs that aging, sickness, and death come for everyone. He realized that clinging to youth, health, or wealth was futile. No matter how rich, powerful, or beautiful a person might be, time strips it all away. In his teachings, he declared, "All things that arise must also fade." When this is truly seen, the sorrow of the world loses its grip. This became the doorway to purity and liberation. One story tells of a grieving mother named Gautami. After losing her only child, she begged the awakened one to bring him back to life. Instead, he gave her a task: bring me a mustard seed from a household untouched by death. She knocked on door after door, only to hear stories of loss: fathers, mothers, sons, daughters. She returned with no seed in hand, but with a new seed of wisdom in her heart. Death, she realized, touches every family. On another occasion, he pointed to a lotus flower and asked his disciples to admire its beauty, but also to notice its destiny to wilt and fade. Its impermanence did not diminish its beauty. It made every moment of its existence more precious. Too often we see impermanence as a curse, but he showed us it is a teacher. Without impermanence, there would be no renewal, no growth, no freedom. So how do we live with this truth? He offered two keys, mindfulness and equanimity. Mindfulness allows us to see things clearly exactly as they are. Equanimity steadies us when the winds of change blow. Try this simple practice. Take a slow inhale and then release it. Notice how the breath arises, lingers for a moment, and dissolves. Each breath is born, lives briefly, and dies away, a living lesson in impermanence. Here's another. Close your eyes and listen. Maybe you hear a bird's call, the hum of traffic, or even silence itself. Every sound appears, then disappears. No sound lasts forever. By noticing impermanence in small, ordinary things, we begin to prepare ourselves for life's greater truths, the passing of moments, the shifting of relationships, and ultimately, the impermanence of our very lives. The Satipatthana Sutta teaches us to look at every feeling, every thought, and every sensation with mindful awareness. This is not mine, this is not me, this is not myself. It's not a call to cold detachment, it's an invitation to live with wisdom, to meet life as it is, without clinging to it as property. A monk once gave a simple image: holding on to life is like holding a small bird. Squeeze too tightly and you'll crush it. Open your hand completely and it flies away. But hold it gently and you can enjoy its presence while allowing it freedom. That is the art of living with impermanence, not denying it, not resisting it, but walking side by side with it. When we finally see that nothing lasts forever, something shifts inside us. Instead of clinging, we begin to flow. Picture life as a vast river. You can fight the current, grabbing onto every rock until you're exhausted. Or you can let go, allowing the water to carry you forward. Impermanence, once feared, becomes freedom, because when we accept that all things pass, we stop demanding the impossible. We learn to savor each moment, knowing it will never return. The Japanese have a beautiful phrase, mono no aware, the gentle sadness of things. It's the beauty we feel when cherry blossoms bloom, precisely because we know their petals will soon fall. Awareness of impermanence makes the present moment shine brighter. The Buddha taught that liberation does not come from escaping impermanence, but from embracing it fully. He who sees impermanence sees the Dharma. He who sees the Dharma sees the Buddha. So, what are we holding on to? Nothing that will last, and that's the point. When clinging ends, suffering loosens its grip. We love more deeply because we no longer demand forever. We live more fully because happiness is no longer postponed for some distant future. And we can face death with peace, knowing it is not theft, but simply another transformation. So if nothing is permanent, what are we really holding on to? The answer is illusions. We cling to the hope that life can stay frozen, that who we are today can remain unchanged. But life is movement. Freedom is not found in freezing the river, but in learning to swim with its flow. Next time you catch yourself clinging to a memory, a possession, or even an identity, pause, take a breath. Notice impermanence and ask gently, if this cannot last, how can I hold it more lightly? That small shift is where wisdom begins. This is the path the Buddha pointed to. This is where suffering begins to dissolve. And this is where true peace is found. If these reflections touched you, consider subscribing to this channel and let's continue exploring timeless wisdom for everyday life.